Capital Views is sponsored by North Rim Bank, Alaska Oil and Gas Association, ConocoPhillips, and Linden.
Hi, I'm Tim Bradner with Alaska Legislative Digest, and welcome to Capitol Views. And welcome today to Robert Venable, the Executive Director of the Southeast Conference, which may be the state's oldest regional economic organization. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm not sure if we're the oldest, but we're older than the state. So since 1958, we've been at economic development here in the region, and we've been at it nonstop.
Maybe just describe, how broad Southeast Conference is, who some of the members are, and maybe some of the issues you're working right now that's on your front plate.
Well, starting in 1958, the regional leaders from Yakutat to Ketchikan and Metlakatla got together in Petersburg to form the Southeast Conference with an effort to understand how to create an economy together rather than separately fall. And the first priority, of course, was the ferry system, and we've been talking about that. That's still a flagship priority for us, and I've seen some good things happening there with the AHS. But working really hard, we've got membership that is very diverse with private businesses, with municipalities, with tribes, and a lot of folks. So we have about 240 members that gather twice a year in person and work throughout the year on every economic sector. And so we've seen a great rebound since the pandemic in most areas. Seafood is struggling really hard these last couple of years in many places of the state, but really doing poorly in Southeast. But we've seen good advances in both transportation, energy, and then of course tourism is just way up on step and moving forward strongly.
Robert, what's just going to some good news first. What's the outlook for tourism next year?
Well, I think we're at a plateau. The communities and the industry are trying to find that sweet spot where, we've got the best product in the world with the beauty that surrounds us, and find that magic number that works well for communities to make sure that the visitor experience is quality while the community experiences quality. And I think those conversations are leading to some good results, and we're looking forward to another robust season.
The one of the good things about tourism, though, is it creates a vibrant retail sector in at least the downtown parts of many communities. That helps restaurants and hotels stay open during the winter.
That is very, very true. On the other hand, one of the things that's less recognized, I think, is the fact that as communities, build infrastructure and recreational opportunities for these visitors that come in, they get to keep them. So the visitors come in and pay for a lot of the infrastructure, and then the local communities get to enjoy those year round. So it's it's another situations where we can create win-win situations. Vibrancy that has a lot of folks make their money during the tourism season, and then they stay open. The locals stay open, and really don't make as much money, but it's all the coattails of tourism.
And keeps people working.
It does.
Maybe touching at the other end of the spectrum, maybe touching on seafood. How bad are things, Robert? How are communities affected by loss of jobs or fish tax revenues?
It's been a struggle. We've seen some years where the return was bad and the price was good enough to kind of make things okay. And then we saw this last year where the prices just fell off the bottom with the global markets that were going on, and that has been a real struggle. And one of the things that we're working with partners on, such as the Alaska Fisheries Development Foundation, is toward a seafood modernization efforts. And I know the legislature has their task force to really twin these efforts to see how we can recreate some efficiencies and processing. And we really have to defend the community-based processing jobs and do as much value added as we can here, support the stocks and our hatcheries, which is another issue that is before the Board of Fisheries that we're tracking as well. So it's struggling, but it's a renewable resource, and we're going to bring it back.
Is value added a good development down there? Are things happening?
There are a number of processes. We've seen some of them change hands this year, but there's a commitment to the fleet and the resource. And I think everyone's kind of developing that niche that works well for the markets that they even have to sell into.
The of course, another thing that's happening, which I know Southeast Conference is involved in, is mariculture. What's the latest? Are we seeing new farming operations develop?
We're seeing new farming operations. We're seeing a lot of workforce development and education, which I think, what we've done these last years is really invest in the people, to make sure that they're trained. We've had like 50 different students that have been enrolled in the university system, these new mariculture programs. We're seeing a lot of investment in market and research so that we can open up, because we know we can grow this stuff. So we make sure we can grow it well and efficiently. And then we need to be able to open up markets to get it there and work on the supply chain in between. So excited about some of the startups we've seen, some of the expansion of those that have been at it for a little bit longer. And it bodes well to create a new economy coastal Alaska.
Robert, what sort of new mariculture products are there? We know about oysters have been around a long time, but are there other things happening?
Oysters have been around for a long time, but they're getting up on a scale that has not been seen before. But looking at the applications for seaweed and kelp, and really there's hundreds of different ways that it can be used. The most prominent, I think, for scale is going to be in the animal feeds and then soil amendments, fertilizers, biostimulants. And I think those are the two markets we're going to see open up the quickest. And so that's where a lot of the effort and attention is right now.
Robert, are seaweed being harvested now and sent for processing into these products?
Yeah, they have seeded their lines. It's growing right now. They'll harvest it a little bit later in the year, but it is an ongoing process. It hasn't happened at a large scale, but it's growing. You see a lot of small farmers, and you see a few that, as the markets open up, will be able to scale up. And we're getting some interest from outside folks that are looking at Alaska and its waters to scale up some industry-size operations in the future.
That's interesting. Now, just turning quickly to the energy sector, I know you have you're doing new things with heat pumps in the Southeast.
The Southeast Conference was awarded over $34 million to install about 6,100 heat pumps between Ketchikan and Kodiak, and we're excited because it's addressing the cost of living in coastal Alaska, which is often expensive. So doing what we can to create jobs and bring down the cost of living so we can enjoy this paradise and make a living, send our kids to college.
We're just take it a minute. I mean, what heat pump how many are existing now? There are some in Southeast Alaska. The Juneau area has some, I think.
It is growing. We're seeing a lot of attention because it's one of those resources that, it's converting air into heat and it's displacing fossil fuels. And that's what the intent of this grant is to displace the imported fossil fuels that's expensive with these that takes a little bit of electricity, but you can get 2 or 3 times the energy out of it than goes through it. So we're excited to see how that works out, and especially in the more temperate zones that we have here in Southeast and South Central down to Kodiak.
Well, Robert, thank you very much. And a lot of things going on. We hope to continue the conversation. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.